Yeah, Coach, after the Oklahoma game, you had mentioned focusing on yourselves before shifting focus to Lipscomb. I'm just curious, Kev, what areas have y'all really honed in on at practice so far, and how would you say that's gone?
Yeah, I mean, we've had two great practices, but this group's been a pretty good practice group all year, to say that we've had two great practices, it still has to correlate to the game. Because I do think this group has a spirit about itself in practice that, we've also had some guys that aren't great practice players and they go out in a game and, do damage in a positive way. So, we have had good practices. They've been very competitive, more live stuff than we've done since I've been at Arkansas. Guarding the ball full court one-on-one, guarding the ball on the wing, 45-degree angle one-on-one. We have not done any of our breakdown drills. We have done no station work. I mentioned it the other night on the radio show that we have added our opportunity break and our open offense to try to get the ball to move from side to side and get more people involved. And then the last piece of all this, which won't be decided until probably Saturday, is what the rotation looks like and who starts and all those things. And so that's kind of where it is.
How did TB respond to playing the other day, and how's his ankle? How's he looked at on his ankle last couple days?
TB has not practiced. What's today? Wednesday. So he has not practiced on Monday or Tuesday. He's been with the trainer, and we'll see how he is. Later today when we're about to practice, I would anticipate him jumping in and doing some stuff today. Probably, well, not probably, won't do anything live. So if most of our practice is live, then that means he won't be involved in much. Jackson.
Sorry. Yeah, I guess you kind of answered this question, but how much of when you're thinking about the new rotation, is it open competition in, practice, and how much of it is kind of you going off a feel of what you've seen in the game so far?
I think a little of both, especially when we've gotten more competition in the last 2 days. And it's also just about, does somebody not have an opportunity as opposed to someone that has had an opportunity. So obviously defensively, I mean, not up to the standards of what we've had the last 9 years. So something's got to give there. And, we've had some great games of ball movement and played really well in those. And we've had some other games of not good ball movement. So something's got to give there. We've added some stuff that we've done in the past offensively to try to get the ball to move a little bit better. And certainly we're doing everything we can from a defensive standpoint as well. Surprisingly, our pick and roll defense, which is an area that most teams talk about at all levels, really struggling. We have not struggled there. So it's guarding the man, keeping him in front. It's defending three, and playing with we need to play with the personality that we've played with in the past. And we've done it at times, and at times we haven't. And there's 5 guys that'll play with the personality we want. It's just, we're trying to find who those 5 are, but there'll be 5. I don't know when it'll be. And I don't know if that equates to a win. But we're not going to play defense like we have of late.
And after the Oklahoma game, you mentioned kind of the guys falling over on layups, impacting maybe some transition defense. I'm wondering, are there any other ways where maybe some struggles on offense have negatively impacted you on the defensive end, or is that kind of the main one, and then you just have the unable to stop the dribble penetration and stuff?
Well, I think anytime you talk about in our sport, because it's not football, where a new group of players is coming on the field, for offense and defense. I mean, the flow of our game, everything affects. Our defense affects our offense. Our offense affects our defense. Shot selection would be the number one thing that affects a team's defense. That's the number one spot you start with. And then the second spot you start with when you're asking about offense affecting defense is your lack or your positive offensive rebounding. So, I mean, we got some guys that haven't gotten an offensive rebound. If I took Bob Holt, me, Curtis, if we all went out there and played, I don't know, 200 minutes, a ball would fall in Bob Holt's lap. And he'd get an offensive rebound. It would. If I played at 59 years old, a ball would somehow bounce to me off an offensive rebound. It just would.
Curtis.
Coach, with the on-ball defense, is it a mentality thing of just you got to sit down and keep your man in front, or are you seeing some common themes in terms of why it might be a problem area?
Yeah, so Curtis, I think there's several things when you talk about guarding the ball. It's habits. What habits do you have prior to the last 5 months or whatever you've been here? It's mobility, lateral, quick speed, foot speed laterally. And then there's a mentality part, and then there's a help part. Like it's not just the guy on the ball, it's are you in a gap? And then you know what? You got to be in a gap and you got to take away the three. That's what has to happen for a good defense. You don't not be in a gap because you're worried about a 3-point shooter, and then you don't say that you're in the gap and then you can't get to a 3-point shooter. It's called multiple defensive efforts. And that's what you have to do to be a really, really good defensive team. And that's what we're trying to clear up, work on, get better at, all those things.
I know a lot of things go into tempo from game to game, but just looking at the KenPom numbers over the course of the last few years, playing a little bit slower than you have maybe in the past.
Well, I hate to cut you off, Curtis, but that's not by design. I mean,
I figured.
I would love it if you guys could point out one time where I said, hold up, let's run a half court play. I mean, we want to play with pace, not Saturday. Every game we want to play with pace. I said at my press conference when I was hired here, however many years, like what you got in order to play with pace, you got to run the floor, you got to ball handle, and that's all on the coaching staff. I mean, all the issues that a team has, they're all, it always falls back to the coaches trying to convey the issue. It's not the players. Yeah, we want to run, to answer your question. We would like more fast break points. We would like to score in transition more than we have.
Scotty.
Yeah, Eric, we talked to Jaylen Graham a few minutes ago. He said you guys have implemented a 0.5 rule offensively. How have guys taken to that so far, and how can it help?
Well, you guys can evaluate that on Saturday, who holds it more than 0.5. Now that he's told you our San Antonio Spurs rule of 0.5. I never brought it up, so it's good when a player uses coaching verbiage. So I'm really happy that Jaylen recognized that. I'm glad he shared it with you guys. Now everybody can watch and see who holds it more than 0.5. I mean, in all honesty, it's just meant to try to get the ball to move more. And I mean, it's a little bit, it's hard to not hold the ball more than 0.5, but we certainly don't want 16 dribbles on one possession.
Bob.
I've got one more, Mike, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Eric, in your experience, what does it take for a team to form a personality or an identity?
Oh boy, great question, Scotty. Look, we talked to our team about some past guys that have been here. I think some guys, I look back and without naming names, one guy had an incredible year for us, and it clicked for him 2 games into SEC play. I vividly remember when, all right, I understand the defensive philosophy. I understand what we're trying to do on offense. Let's go do it. And that player's had a great career or a great year here and has moved on and playing at the highest level. So I think there's, some guys get it the last game. Some guys get it after they leave here. And some guys never get it. So I don't think there's, I mean, I would love to tell you, oh yeah, it happens after 12 games. I mean, Chuck Daly used to say you get to know your team 50 games into an NBA 82 game season. So we certainly don't know our team. Some teams in college, those guys haven't figured out quicker. I don't know, but and we've lost to some really good teams. I mean, you look at the records of the teams we've lost to. I don't care about their Ken Palm numbers or whatever. I'm just saying that the teams we've lost to. I watched Memphis the other day go into Texas A&M, and Texas A&M has a lot of returning players. Basically, their whole roster, they're really well coached, and that was a true home game for A&M, and Memphis played phenomenal. And I think Texas A&M is one of the best teams in the country. And so North Carolina is a heck of a basketball team. And Oklahoma's probably went into the season the most underrated team in college basketball.
Bob.
Yeah, hey Eric. Yeah, last time I looked, Greensboro was 7-1 or something and one, whatever. So they're pretty good too. Hey, before I forget, Nate wanted me to ask you this. With it being finals week, has that impacted practice at all, or have you had any issues with guys being able to practice, or zero? Okay, that's good. That's not a verbal answer. Another thing we haven't even asked you about Lipscomb yet. What's your take on those guys?
So Lipscomb, 49th in the country in made threes, 9 a game. So, we got to defend the three. 58th in the country in 3-point attempts. They average 26 per game. It's a pretty high number. Number 0, McGinnis, leads them in 3-point percentage. He can play the 2, 3, 4. He's 42% from 3 on 6 attempts a game, or 5.6 attempts a game. And, 60% of their shots are threes. 30% of their shots are mid-range. So that would, they're a really good offensive team.
And then, we talked to Jaylen earlier. He says his back's feeling better. And, I thought he played, some pretty decent minutes the other day against OU. Where do you think Jaylen is? And you've talked about giving guys more opportunities. Is he one of those guys you might be talking about, or just what are you thinking about for Jaylen moving forward?
Yeah, Jaylen, I mean, I thought he had a really good summer. He worked hard. Then obviously the back issue and our 3 biggest, segments of games were really the Bahamas, just because we played 3 games in 3 nights. It would have been great to have a healthy Jaylen Graham then, because anytime you get to the second and third game, especially after a double overtime loss, and you don't have a player that can score and then rebound. I mean, I think that not having Jaylen in Nassau affected us in games 2 and 3, maybe not in game 1. And certainly a great offensive talent. I thought he did a great job of, he got beat off the dribble a couple times and had some great blocks because he stuck with the play. I think he understands what the expectations are. Certainly getting him back in the fold, and he's got to continue to work his way back into better physical condition, just because he had the time off. I think that's affected him a little bit from a conditioning win standpoint.
You think he could be a plus for you moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the guys, I hope that everybody on our roster can be a plus for us. Some guys that are scoring at a high level, they got to defend better, and some guys that are defending pretty good got to give us a little more on offense. So I'm hopeful that that we can improve both individually and that everybody can somehow contribute some way, shape, or form.
This is your one time to go do a play in North Little Rock. The crowds down there are usually pretty rabid, no matter who you're playing, or raucous or whatever. Maybe rabid's a bad word, but what are your thoughts on playing down there and the reception you guys get?
Yeah, unbelievable. We love playing there. Have not played good historically. Last year we played good, but I think the program was not 11-9 in their last segment of games there. So you add last year, maybe we're 12-9. I could be wrong statistically, but we need to play like we did last year, which was great energy, great enthusiasm, great desire to play in front of a fan base that doesn't get to see us. There's going to be kids going to that game that are never going to come to Bud Walton. You got to understand that. You got to respect that. You got to understand that there's people that only watch games on TV, and this is their one opportunity. I think it's a great game for us. The only thing that I wish this was a neutral site game because it's 3.5 hours away. It's not a neutral site game. It is counted as a home game for us, which obviously we got the home crowd and all that. But there are some other programs that have games similar to this that are counted as neutral site games and not home games. So we got to go defend our home. It's a home game with the NCAA. So we gotta go play well in a home game.
It'll kind of be a homecoming for Devo and Layden Block, or being from that area. What are your thoughts maybe on them coming back to their home area to play?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's excitement. There's extra family members that are able to come. You don't want any distractions. Because it's a different environment. Usually when you go on a road trip and you go out to dinner, nobody, fans aren't asking for pictures and autographs. And when you're in the hotel, but when we go play this game and we go to eat on Friday night, there's going to be fans that are coming up, and we want to try to eliminate as many distractions as you can. I don't go speak anywhere else on a road trip. I'm gonna speak on Friday to a group. So all of us have to understand that this is a game. We've got to stay focused. We've got to get ready to compete in a game that's that's a one-time game in front of what will be a sold-out building, we would assume, and a very, very important game for us, in my opinion.
There's been a lot of complaints that this game hadn't been available on streaming in the past, but it's going to be. They worked it out. How glad are you that not just the people at the game, but people around the world, can watch it?
Well, Bob, if we play really good, I'll be really, really happy that this thing got streamed and worked out, that it can be viewed by a bunch of people. If we don't play well, then I probably wish the streaming issues would have continued, to be honest with you. But no, I think it's great that they figured it out.
All right, Coach. Thanks. Appreciate your time.